In 2010, an archaeologist named Kirk French crawled through a cramped stone tunnel beneath a ruined city in the Mexican jungle, and he found something that should not have existed. A stone channel, sealed tight, that suddenly narrows at the end. On purpose, a design that does only one thing. It forces water under pressure. It builds enough force to push water uphill into a fountain. This was built around 750 years after the birth of Christ, roughly 1,000 years before Europe would reliably do the same thing. We were taught that the ancient Maya were a Stone Age people. No metal tools, no wheels for work, no pack animals. And yet, deep in the jungle, they were plumbing water under pressure and steaming themselves clean in engineered baths, while much of the world was still hauling buckets from a river. So how did a civilization with none of the tools we call advanced out-engineer half the planet on the one thing every city needs? Water. The city is called Palenque, and its problem was the opposite of what you would guess. It did not lack water, it was drowning in it. Palenque sits on a narrow shelf in the rainforest, soaked by enormous seasonal rains. At least 9 streams cut straight through where the people wanted to build. Most cities are built around water. Palenque had to be built on top of it. So Maya engineers did something remarkable. Instead of moving the city, they moved the water. They built long stone aqueducts and channeled entire rivers underground. They roofed them over with rock and built plazas, homes, and temples directly on top. You could walk across the center of Palenque and never know a river was rushing beneath your feet. This freed up dry, flat land in a place that had almost none. It was city planning, in stone, in a rainforest, over 1,000 years ago. And in one of those buried channels was the piece Kirk French studied, the spot where the channel deliberately shrinks. Here is the detail everyone missed for years. A channel that narrows turns falling water into pressurized water. It is the same principle as your thumb over the end of a garden hose. The Maya, with no formal physics, had figured out how to make water climb. The oldest known water pressure feature in all of the Americas. But clean cities were only half of it. The Maya were also, by the standards of the ancient world, obsessed with being clean, and they turned washing into something sacred. Across Maya cities, archaeologists keep finding the same structure. Small, thick-walled stone rooms with a low doorway, a firebox, and drainage. In the Maya language, a pib naah, a sweat bath, a steam room, built into the heart of the city. Here is how it worked. Stones were heated in the firebox until they glowed. Water was poured over them, filling the sealed room with thick steam. People sat inside, sweating out the heat and the dirt, then washed off. A spa, running around 1,500 years ago. At the city of Piedras Negras, one sweat bath was so important it sat right in the ceremonial core, rebuilt again and again over centuries. This was not a back alley bathhouse. It was central. It mattered. Because, for the Maya, the sweat bath was never only about being clean. It was about being reborn. The hot, dark, womb-like chamber was tied to healing and to birth. Mothers recovered there. The sick were carried in. Priests purified themselves before ritual. Steam was not just cleaning the body. It was cleaning the spirit. They fused medicine, religion, and plumbing into a single stone room. Now, hold on. Because this is the part that breaks the school textbook picture of the Maya. The Maya had no iron tools, no bronze for work. They shaped these aqueducts and bath chambers using stone tools, wood and fire, cutting limestone by hand. They had no wheel doing any real labor, and no horses or oxen to haul stone. Everything you are looking at was carried and lifted by people. What they had instead was knowledge, a deep, generational understanding of water, slope, and stone. They read the land like a machine, where rain would fall, how it would flow, where pressure would build. And they had astronomy and mathematics most people never credit them with. The Maya used a concept of 0 centuries before it reached Europe. And they tracked the movements of Venus with an accuracy that still astonishes modern astronomers. The same minds that mapped the sky mapped the water under their feet. We keep measuring the past by a single yardstick. Metal and wheels. The Maya are proof that yardstick is broken. You can build a water-powered, steam-cleaned city out of limestone and rainwater if you understand the world well enough. Advanced was never about the hardness of your tools, it was about the depth of your knowing. So why were we taught the Maya were primitive? That part says less about them and more about us. When the jungle swallowed the Maya cities, the aqueducts filled with silt and the fountains fell silent. Later arrivals saw ruins and vines and assumed there had never been much there at all. It is easy to call people simple when their machines have rotted into the forest. There is also a more uncomfortable reason. For a long time, it suited the story of conquest to imagine the people of the Americas as primitive. But the stones do not lie. Kirk French crawled into that tunnel and found force built into the rock on purpose. The sweat baths still sit in the ruins, fireboxes and all. The evidence was always there, waiting under the vines. So step back and look at the whole shape of it. A people with no metal, no wheel, and no pack animals buried whole rivers to make room for a city. They pressurized water to make it climb and built sacred steam baths where they were healed, purified, and born. 1,000 years or more before much of the world managed the same. They did it not with better tools, but with a deeper understanding of the water, the stone, and the sky. That is a kind of genius we almost forgot to call genius. Every ordinary thing in your life has an ancient beginning. Even the hot shower you will stand under tonight without a second thought. Steam rising around you, exactly like the people of Palenque. 15 centuries ago, the jungle took their cities. It could not take the proof. Do not mistake old for simple. If stories like this are your kind of thing, the next one is already waiting.